Chloe, listen to this. The story my friend Minju told me, based on police files, it's about how the safest places, a university library, the short walk home, can become a living hell overnight. It's about a series of attacks in Seoul in 2003 that terrorized the city. It begins at a prestigious university in Sinchon. That's a huge, bustling college town in Seoul. Think of it like Westwood, but with multiple universities packed together. August 20th, after midnight, it's pouring rain. A normal office worker, a woman named Soo-hee Hong, is leaving the library after studying late for a certification exam. She's walking home, umbrella in hand, on a path she's taken 1,000 times. She passes through an underpass, and that's the last thing she remembers. When she wakes up, she's in the ICU. The smell of antiseptic, a pounding headache, bandages wrapped around her head. A nurse gently tells her, "You were a victim of a pyeokchigi." That's Korean slang for a specific type of mugging where someone ambushes you from behind, strikes you, pyeok, and steals your stuff. Someone had smashed her in the head with a blunt object and stolen her bag, which had her phone and about 28,000 won. That's less than $25. A veteran detective, let's call him Detective Kim, is on the case. But there's nothing. No witnesses, no evidence. The rain washed everything away. As he's leaving the hospital, he mutters to himself, "Damn it, not again in this neighborhood." And that's the thread that unravels everything. He goes back to the station, pulls the recent assault files, and starts putting pins on a map. One victim 20 days ago, another a week after that. All in the same 2-kilometer radius around the universities, all women walking home alone in the early morning, all struck on the head. He realizes this is a serial attacker, and he's not going to stop. But the attacker is a ghost. 3 more women are attacked after Soo-hee. The neighborhood is gripped by fear. Female students are afraid to go to the library at night. And then, on the last day of the Chuseok holiday, at 5 a.m. on a rainy morning, the 7th attack happens. The victim is Yoo Ri-oh, a 23-year-old art student. She was a brilliant artist, everyone said. She'd been pulling an all-nighter for her graduation project and was just steps from her apartment when she was struck down. This time, the attack was too brutal. Her skull was so severely fractured, she never woke up. The case just turned from robbery assault to robbery homicide. A massive task force is formed. Detective Kim is part of it. The only clue is the wound pattern on the victims' heads, a wide, indented mark combined with a deep, narrow puncture. The weapon? A jungmangchi, a specific type of claw hammer used in construction, the kind used to pull out nails. The profilers are brought in. They paint a picture. The suspect is a man in his 30s, lives alone, and knows this area intimately. He hunts exclusively on rainy nights. The rain masks his footsteps, muffles the screams, and washes away the evidence. So the hunt begins. They identify over 500 single men living in the target area. For a month, 30 detectives have no days off. They spend their days investigating those 500 men and their nights sitting in cold, unmarked cars, staring into dark, rain-slicked alleyways, waiting. They survive on convenience store ramen and coffee, just waiting for it to rain. On the 18th day of the stakeout, the weather forecast finally gives them what they've been waiting for. Heavy rain expected overnight. That night, the city is a ghost town. Around 4 a.m., Detective Kim is fighting off sleep when he spots her, a lone woman walking with an umbrella, a foreign exchange student. As she walks, Kim sees a shadow detach itself from the darkness between 2 parked cars. "That's him," he whispers to his partner. The figure moves like a predator, closing the distance, raising the hammer high. In that split second, Kim screams out the window of the car, "Hey, you bastard, freeze!" Startled, the attacker flinches, the detectives burst out of their cars. The man hurls the hammer and bolts down an alley. After a breathless 200-meter chase, they tackle him to the wet pavement. They stopped his 9th attack. The aftermath is a dark reminder. The attacker was a 32-year-old man, a failed clothing merchant drowning in debt, living alone in a rooftop apartment right next to the crime scenes. In his room, they found the wallets and ID cards of the victims. But the one thing they couldn't find was the evidence linking him to the murder of Yuri Oh. He claimed he threw her belongings by some railroad tracks. After days of searching, they found it, a cell phone smashed in half. And here's where the story gives you chills, Chloe. At the station, a detective, on a 1,000,000-to-1 chance, presses the last call button on the broken phone. Nothing happens on the broken screen, of course. A few seconds later, Detective Kim's own cell phone rings. He picks it up. It's Yuri Oh's father, his voice choked with tears. "Detective, my dead daughter, she just called me." That call confirmed the phone was hers, and the killer confessed to everything. Do you know what he did with the little money he stole? About 600,000 won in total, less than $500. He told the police he bought his own son a pair of online skates. His son was precious, but a young woman's life was worth less than a stolen wallet. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, but for the victims, the sentence never ends. Soo-hee, the first woman in our story, could never walk home at night on a rainy bay again. The sound of footsteps behind her would trigger a panic attack. The visible wounds heal, but the invisible ones, sometimes they last forever.